welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment if you've any of this conversation, because that is, honest to God, why I make these videos, is to have conversation with you guys. So please, continue the conversation down in the comments. If you agree, disagree, have any really cool ideas, leave it down in the comments, because, you know, that's why I make these videos. Or if you have any comments about the channel in general, because I am always looking for improvement, and any little bit of advice you guys can give me, I do take to heart, and I do try to improve myself, so please let me know if there's anything you want me to change or differently. Finally, be sure to check my other channel, YC Games. It's the one with the orange logo. And let's get into the video, because it's kind of a big one. Because we're talking about guns! Yes, one of basically the best part of Borderlands, you know, the awesome guns. And they have given us a lot of awesome gameplay and screenshots of just the insane amount of crazy, over-the-top, awesome guns in Borderlands 3. And, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've been excited for Borderlands 3 for over a year. But after seeing that gameplay, it put me over the top, and honestly, at this point, I still have only seen the Gearbox gameplay and a couple of clips from some others playthroughs or live streams. I've seen a few clips, but I've only actually seen the full live stream of what Gearbox showed off. So I'm going mostly off of that and the trailers right now. So I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot of cool guns. So if there's any other guns you saw like in someone else's playthrough, because obviously there have been a lot of like hours worth of gameplay shown off between all the different streamers and whatnot, and I'm not going to watch them all. So if there's any cool guns you saw one person get, let me know, because I want to see it. Like, you don't let me know what stream it's from, and I get about the area, because like I said, there's a lot of hours of content and I don't have enough time to go through all of them, but I do want to see as many cool guns as possible. So let me know if there's any cool ones you thought were like really noteworthy. And without further ado, let's get into this, because we're going to be talking about all the different ones I saw, what this could lead into, kind of my predictions on where all these different systems and stuff can go, and yeah, let's just get into it. Holy cow, this is definitely the biggest change, at least to the gunplay of Borderlands 3, that we're going to see, and I am very excited for it. I was a little nervous at first, but actually seeing it in action, holy cow. Like, it's one of those things where it's like a no-duh that makes sense, because alternative firing modes kind of exist in the real world. Obviously not to this degree, but it's just for switch between a single burst and full auto. Some guns are capable of different degrees of that. So it makes a lot of sense that they would incorporate that into Borderlands. And obviously because it's Borderlands, they're cranking it up to insane levels, and that's how we're getting, like, you can shoot regular bullets and then boom, switch to micro missiles. Or how we can, what are some other ones? Like, turn into a grenade launcher, turn into heat-seeking little dart missiles, stuff like that. Like, just insane variations. And I'm really excited. Like, that just definitely sounds like one of the most obvious ways, and probably one of the best ways they could differentiate between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3, while keeping the insane factor and just making it that much more insane and that much more varied in their gun selection by making alternative firing mode. Because essentially this can basically, not really, but basically let you have 8 guns at one time. You know, you can have like, if each gun has 2 different firing modes, depending on how varied they are and how over-the-toply ridiculous it is, that could be, it could at least feel like 2 different guns. So you could have basically 8 guns equipped at the same time. And I'm all for that. I really like it. I'm looking forward to seeing all the absolutely crazy variations that you come up with, because Borderlands is good at that kind of stuff. They can take a simple concept and just make it insane, because these are creative people with awesome ideas, and I just love to see what they can come up with. And this is definitely one of the aspects I'm looking forward to seeing, how absolutely batshit insane it can get. I'm also excited because they mentioned that this alternate firing mode, instead of like actually switching up the firing mode, in some guns it would switch up what kind of elemental it would do. And that's awesome, because, I mean, not so much in Borderlands 3 because it sounds like they're almost getting rid of slag. I think I haven't seen any slag, and like from what I've heard, they're getting rid of it. But as far as Borderlands 2 goes, how nice would that have been to have like a slag, and you can switch it to like incinerary. So you slag them and boom, burn them. That would be so nice. But even in this new game, switching between like shock to get rid of their shields, and then switching to like incinerary or corrosion, or even this new radiation. You know, I'm sure that'll have its checks and balances to see like, you know, it's good against some things, bad against others. And kind of the same way like with if you had an incinerary gun that you liked, yeah, it's great against flesh, but then as soon as you go up against Hyperion bots, well, as far as Borderlands 2 went, then you kind of couldn't use it because incinerary just did nothing to them. So you had to use either a gun with no elemental or find something with corrosion. So being able to switch between those two elementals would be nice depending on the situation. So that's just another aspect that's more almost tactical. I'm more excited for this just to see the absolutely crazy things that can come out of it. But it's also nice to a tactical perspective because, like I just kind of said, switching between elementals on the fly could come in handy during combat. And the same way with alternate firing modes, depending on where they are, how far away they are. Switching between, like, I think one was, it was like a shotgun, or no, it was like a submachine gun that like sprayed all around, but then they aimed in and switched out and it turned into like a more of a sniper shot. You know, stuff like that. That's more tactical, and it's also more fun. So it definitely makes sense why they did this, because it just kind of makes sense in general. But I'm mostly looking forward to it just for the insane factor. This is just kind of a summary of the little details I noticed during the gameplay, with the guns in particular. Then I'll be talking about more prediction in the next section. But one of the coolest details that I noticed, and this is kind of stuff that just gets me giddy, because you can tell from stuff like this that there's an attention to detail in this game, and that they really did think of everything. It's one of those, like, it's a simple thing, but it's something that I noticed that not a lot of people would. But if you're watching the Gearbox gameplay, when he was fighting that first mini boss during the opening section, right at the end, I think he shot one bullet from his pistol, and it was, I don't know if it was actually Jacobs, but it was like a Jacobs, where it was like a revolver, and he only put one bullet back in. Stuff like that I love to see. Like when I saw that in Battlefield 1 for the first time, it just made that game so much better for me. It's a little detail, and honestly, with modern technology, it makes sense that they would do that. With the time and effort they put in these games, it makes sense. But it makes me feel good that they did put the time and effort into it. It is one of those things that they could have left it out, and no one would have noticed. They could have just made it so you empty them all out. Kind of like how in Borderlands 2, like right here. If I'll only shoot 4 bullets, he'll reload all of them. It doesn't make a difference. And it's not that anyone's mad about it, like, oh, that's just inaccurate. But the fact that they do put the effort in, I like it. And it's stuff like that that I notice and I really enjoy seeing. Another, just kind of on the topic of details, is that I'm not detailed to the world, but also to the guns itself. Like, the guns themselves look so beautiful. And some of the transitions between the different firing modes, like, you can tell when it's one or the other. And it's just something I love to see. Like, I was really curious about how they would do the art style for Borderlands 3, because Borderlands 2 still looks good, because it has that cel-shaded cartoony art style that never really loses its appeal. So I was curious if they were going to do that, or what they're going to do for Borderlands 3. And I honestly don't know how they did it, but it's a gorgeous game. And the guns are, they look so amazing. That's just kind of me getting gushy over it about graphics. But the fact that it's still definitely Borderlands, like, there's no mistaking this is a Borderlands game. But it still looks better. And I appreciate that. I know that really doesn't deserve a place in this video. It's just kind of in the game itself. But while I was talking about guns, it is cool to talk about because the guns themselves really do stick out. You could tell they put time and effort into making these guns look good. And how many there are, and all the different variations there are, you know, that kind of work's got to be commended. They did an awesome job. And I'll move on to predictions now because I can talk about this all day. So most of my predictions are going to be on the TDR, the throw and forget mentality, and all the different things for that, because I was going to make it mostly on different legendary guns, but looking back and seeing my list of ones I already have written down, not the ones I already talked about, but the ones I have written down that haven't made a video yet, that could be its own video, so I probably will make its own video just on that. So if you guys have any neat ideas for legendary guns, let me know, that you haven't seen, obviously, in the game already. Let me know, and I'll be sure to include in that video with credit to you guys, or just, you know, any discussions, whatever. So yeah, so now most of my predictions are going to be on what all these different throw and forget things could be, because I definitely didn't expect it, seeing them in the gameplay. For those who aren't aware, TDR is the manufacturer that in Borderlands 2, when you throw the gun, it explodes like a grenade. And in Borderlands 3, they're taking it to another notch, where it'll do insane things. Like, that's where the guns with legs thing came from in the one video, or in the first trailer they showed off. So there's an insane amount of different things we could predict that these things could do. So I'm gonna save legendary guns for a different day, and just talk about a TDR. So like I mentioned, we got guns with legs, which, okay. I mean, that's awesome, and that's another example of how this team can definitely be trusted to make the most insane ideas awesome, and why I'm super excited for the alternative firing modes, because stuff like that is just awesome to me. The MIRV grenades, how you throw it and it shoots off like a MIRV. I think we kind of just assume that any grenade from Borderlands 2 could easily turn into this as well. Like, just some examples, some of my favorites would be like the fireball, or the fastball, I believe it's called, where it'd be an impact explosion, but a ton of damage, regardless of how much ammo you have. If they add the fireworks grenade to it, ooh, even like probably a lesser one, like maybe just one firework instead of like the 5 or 6, however much it is. Stuff like that. Maybe do it instead of an explosion, have it just be a black hole. That, you know, no idea. Just kind of really, in general, any grenade we've had in the past could easily turn into this. So that's kind of to be expected. A couple of ideas more unique to it being a gun rather than a grenade would be as you throw it, the gun is still shooting, like, absolutely randomly. And then if it does somehow manage to hit something, it would do like an insane amount of damage, because the odds of it, like, while it's flipping, rotating in midair, just constantly shooting, the odds of actually hitting anything would be probably slim to none. So probably would be quite a bit of damage. As you throw it, the gun would like keep shooting and like follow a target that you mark somehow, probably like an alternative firing mode or whatever. Like a pulsing explosion. That's not really so much the guns, same with the grenade, but instead of like just one explosion, it'll like just kind of sit there and pulse every once in a while. Make it like an elemental acid pool. So like you throw it, whatever elemental effect it does, it just like sit there and like be like a constant fire mark or radiation or a corrosion pool. It can stick to a surface and like kind of be like a turret or even like a landmine maybe. Just a couple quick ideas. Honestly, this probably does deserve to be its own video too, but I didn't have quite as much time to actually prepare a full list as I do for like legendary guns. So it probably deserves to be its own video. And I might still. I don't know if you guys want to see that or have any cool ideas to add to it. Let me know down in the comments. So yeah, let's move on. That about does it for this one. There's obviously a lot to continue to talk about. But like I said, most of my plan was to talk about the legendary guns. And that would really deserve its own video. And I really didn't expect there to be alternative fire mode, so I kind of spent more time talking about that than I expected, and the different TDR things, you know, that threw me for a loop. I was also really conflicted on the rumor that there was going to be like mods added to guns, and I had a lot to say about that. So now that was obviously not true, and instead it's just going to be alternate firing modes, yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about it. So I'm going to leave this here. Do expect a video talking about what I think legendary guns, or probably more talking about the different firing modes and the TDR things, and also grenades. because I'll be honest, when I was watching the gameplay, the grenades kind of confused me because there didn't really seem to be a lot of variety, and they definitely didn't show off any in particular. So I was really confused as to why they didn't. So I'm going to rewatch that footage, you know, watch some other of the live streams that happened. So, yeah, I'll probably make grenades its own video too. This is going to be all after the 10-part series. I do plan on continuing the 10-part series as planned. Next part will be part 5, experimental game mechanics. That, for those of you who don't know, I declare as like the sliding and mantling, stuff like that, like just stuff they haven't had in previous games as far as game mechanics go. So I'll be talking a lot about that, and obviously the gameplay gave me a lot of what's going to be in it, so it's going to be less predictions, more just reaction to what I saw. So yeah, if there's anything in particular you noticed in the gameplay or someone else's gameplay, let me know, and I'll be sure to include it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that's about it. Keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together. See you in the next one.